Some days, politics can feel like my left ankle, just fine, or sore and pinchy as I limp with a peg leg hobble after a shift in the kitchen. Some of us have been privileged to not know about politics or policy when the ankle hasn't been injured and therefore we aren't aware of it. What I've noticed is the attachment many people have to their own grievances. They're distinctly aware of those particular issues that usually affect them or others like them. They're also aware of other issues that might not affect their life directly, but they believe to be affected by. I'm thinking of immigrants who arrive on our shores, just as my grandparents did, and work those awful jobs that we may not wish to. They came here to flee persecution or warfare or any number of reasons. We need their support, and yet I hear many in my circle or local demographic saying they're taking my kids' jobs away. It's as though after decades, generations at this point, of having everything in relative lockstep when it came to leading a life, people are, just as I did in April 2024, tripping down the back stairs in my apartment house as I brought an old bed frame down for a buyer on Facebook Marketplace, resulting in 2 breaks, which required a surgery and permanent plate and screws. Suddenly, people are aware of their ankles when they didn't even know they had ankles before. Not because they didn't understand, so to speak, but because it was part of the way they'd always walked before and they weren't made aware of them. It's not unlike being unaware of the kidneys until you're affected by renal disease. It's this lack of awareness and connection that maintains this otherness that I'm feeling. It's been a sincere challenge to navigate my life since my injury. I was selling an old bed frame for $10 because I'd gotten a new mattress that doesn't have a box spring. I'd left my old bed at the house with my ex-husband. I then had to live with full knowledge and deep awareness of my left ankle, and with no assistance for my day-to-day living. Like the people I've seen of late who are outraged by our elected prime minister because he doesn't represent their party of choice, i.e., they voted conservative and not liberal, I was very aware of my personal grievances. My ankle hurt every time I breathed. The weight of a bed sheet laying on my ankle felt like 10 pounds. From my bed, I could see the public outside, walking, standing, running, blissfully unaware of their ankles, and I admit feeling jealous and angry at those strangers below. I thought I was selling an old bed frame from my failed marriage for a few extra bucks so I could help myself as I try to begin again, and this horrible pain has happened. I feel persecuted by some deity-type force. I'm powerless. The company I'd been baking bagels for couldn't sustain itself once I got hurt, and it folded, meaning I had no job to return to either. I told myself all sorts of familiar lies like, see, the world is against you. You didn't have great riches while married, to be sure, but now you're destined for failure. You thought you could take care of yourself like a naive fool when you were actually correct at 22 when you met your future husband and he took you in, you fucking dummy. I admit these thoughts to you because after wallowing in those feelings for long enough, I recognized a pattern I'd heard my whole life as a white-presenting, conservatively raised woman. Victimhood and victimization by the other. And it didn't take terribly long to get mighty tired of myself. It had the unaware ring of a story someone was telling me once, with deep passion and upset, I might add, that he couldn't find the correct blue pool paint. He really wanted royal over Pacific blue or something like that. I've forgotten the names of the blue, and frankly, it doesn't matter. I listened to this story and all the complaining about ordering the paint and the poor customer service as I sat there thinking, you're mad about a paint color for the pool that you have? I've never had a pool. You're mad about needing to order paint? As you forget, you have the money to buy the paint in the first place. When all you focus on is grievance, what doesn't go your way always acts like gas on the fire of outrage. As I learned to walk again and how to deal with the now daily awareness that I got hurt in a genuine accident, I felt all the energy that went into feeling hard done by was being wasted. You best believe I felt a lot more pain when my thoughts sought those familiar and opioid addictive spaces. It occurred to me I was hurting myself by feeling sorry for myself. I get frequent emails from this family member who still firmly believes Polyev was the better choice to Carney. Those emails consist of those old, tired, I broke my ankle when I was only doing what I had to do in order to survive type of messaging that drains me now. Prior to this last decade of American politics, it was easier to understand the privilege of pool paint grievances as something to file under the okay boomer category and move on. But the more Americanized our politics are becoming makes this stance one of complicity. My Nona was 88 the last time I saw her. She'd insisted on being brought to the house so the correct roses would be transplanted to the community garden where she was now living. She struggled a lot with her mobility, and the house had stairs, but she didn't believe we'd know what we were doing, so she insisted on coming. Going down the stairs was slow, but she did it. We cut the roses for her, and then she had to climb back up the treacherous basement stairs. Thankfully, my uncle had installed a sturdy pair of railings so she could pull herself easier. I brought her cane up with me and held it sturdy as I encouraged her with my sentiments. I realized every woman in labor feels patronized by, despite their truth. Just one more push and you're there. Only in my case, I said, just one more step and you're done. And you never have to climb these stairs again. She looked up at me, feeling exhausted and battered by life, the way I certainly felt when I got home from surgery. At the bottom of a flight of stairs, with no option to take an elevator, I recognized I could choose between fighting through the struggle, or I could set up camp in the unheated doorway. That, to me, seems to be the real struggle. Letting people know they do have a choice in everything. There isn't some great arbiter up there in the sky who proclaims some are winners and others are losers. That's all human perception. I don't think I have to tell you which I chose. I'm here now, upstairs in my crazy apartment, after 20 years of not choosing at all. In the almost 19 months since my injury, I've had to navigate through regaining mobility and all those emotions as well. I've had to fall back onto my fallback trade of hairdressing for 2 months until a way out was crafted for me and I was wise enough to see it. I took my current job at the biggest catering company in the city. I was nervous to undertake such an endeavor after getting hurt, and there were moments when old sentiments would creep in. You're not a real cook or baker, and they're going to fire you. If you hadn't fallen down the stairs because of your dumb big feet, you wouldn't be in this mess, and the like. I would have given up too, while I was still married, but a promise I made to myself upon leaving was that I couldn't give up. I'd spent the preceding 2 decades as one who gave up. I'm no longer allowed to give up and give in. Some people have told me I should have fired my psychiatrist. I've had the same doctor since my last suicide attempt in 2012. The ultimate statement of, I give up this entire mortal coil, and don't you dare tell me there's any choice in the matter. The doctor has always said, you can't give up. I'm not giving up. You matter to me and many others. Finding out I had a choice in this was frustrating because I only knew victimhood as an identity. Identity politics. It's so much easier to claim I can't due to adversity when you only understand it that way. We have ego minds that crave correctness as a way of feeling safe. It's all the same basic needs, no matter who we are. I just hope more people see this as Chris D'Entremont crosses the floor to caucus with the Liberals. What I'm really saying here is it's important that we not think about the other and our own situation as though it's the only situation. And the only way to get that across is conversation and patience rather than strong emotions. And that's why creativity is so important. That's why staying grounded is so important. That's why learning new things is so important. It's highly detrimental to you when you don't do that stuff. And I speak it because I know it, not because I'm judging, but because I know. And I'm very aware of my left ankle, and always will be. But it works, so I'll take it. I hope you will like, share, subscribe, comment, do all that fun stuff for me. It really helps. And I will see you next time.